This is The Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral.com.
Good afternoon, Tuscaloosa, Internet World, West Alabama. How are we doing today on this Monday, January 27th? Hope you and yours are doing well on the final week of the first month in 2025. How are your New Year's resolutions going? Have you quit yet? If you made it past the first, Tuesday of 2025, still going on your resolutions, you're doing better than most. Yes, we are still training for the half marathon. Yes, it's still going poorly, but yes, we are still doing it. And we are live in the Derry Daniel State Farm Studios right here off of McFarland Boulevard, having a lot of fun on a Monday. Well, it's actually not Monday, if you can't tell. We're not live today. We are recording this on Sunday night. Mason Woods is out of town. Mason Woods won't be back till Monday, so I went through the Rolodex and looked for some help. We're going to have a lot of fun today on a Monday with Jenna Clary from the 10 out of 10 podcast. You can find her on Instagram and YouTube at the 10 out of 10 pod. And we want to talk about Alabama basketball. The Crimson Tide got a win, did they? Let me remind you, Alabama won on Saturday. Yeah, the Crimson Tide won 80-73, but all anyone wants to talk about is Mark Sears. So we're going to spend our time talking about Alabama defeating the LSU Tigers. Yeah, LSU coming with a lot more athleticism than any of us were ready for on Saturday, but escaping Coleman Coliseum with a win, moving on to Tuesday against Mississippi State, looking to continue to stay right there in the hunt. We'll talk about Auburn. Oh my gosh, getting a lot of favor this past weekend. I guess, Jenna, have you ever been trampled going to a sporting event?
No, thankfully, no.
Okay, first off, now that that's out of the way, thanks for your time. How you doing? And welcome into the Joe Gaither Show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Did you see on Saturday? Okay, Auburn hosted game day, right? Big game,
Yeah.
Auburn and Tennessee. Everybody's excited. They apparently didn't do the same traditional ticketing system for the students. And okay, no big deal. We know the jungle's crazy. They say free for all, and people run into the jungle to get to their seats and get, nice seats behind college game day. And young men and young women were trampled, multiple injuries at Neville Arena.
I didn't even hear about that yet.
What's the scary? I mean, luckily, broken arm, broken leg, that's the most severe injury that we've heard. It makes me think about one of those documentaries, back in the 80s and late 80s, early 90s, a big soccer documentary that people get crushed and killed from a trampoline. What's the scariest crowd you've ever been in at and scariest can be taken any way, the scariest crowd that you've ever been in at a sporting event?
Ooh.
I've got a good one. So but think about it.
Say, when Auburn beat Alabama, my senior year of college, the kick six. And after that, like leaving the stadium, it was just Auburn fan after Auburn fan, just in our faces, just rubbing it in, holding up one finger. I mean, I won't forget that. That's probably like the most outnumbered I've been, and in the most like hostile environment, I would say. It wasn't hostile, but it was just annoying.
Well, thankfully, you escaped Auburn that night with all your limbs intact. Hopefully, all the Auburn students are A-OK from Saturday. And Brice Pearl, get your folks under control. But we don't want to talk about the Auburn Tigers, even though they escaped. And is Tennessee actually that good? We want to talk about Alabama. Golly, what a night. Okay, so Alabama, 7:30 on Saturday, defeats the LSU Tigers 80-73 in probably the ugliest game of the season. Alabama, you didn't really do horrible in the turnover department. Only 14 turnovers. On this show, we like our number at 12 or fewer. So not that bad. Your three-point percentage could have been better, 30% from the three-point line. We wanted up at 35, 38%. We did really well from the free throw line, 19 of 24. But what in the world? The LSU Tigers took you to school on the glass. 43 rebounds for LSU to your 41, and their offensive rebounds, 17 offensive rebounds for 14 second chance points, keeps them in the game. And Jenna, we'll just start right here. This Alabama basketball team has been a bit of an enigma for Mason and I this season. We know how talented they are. They're unbelievably deep. So much. 1 through 12. But they seem to come and go in the focus department. And Saturday was another example of that.
I agree. I mean, they're ranked really well.
They're ranked really well. You go tied at halftime, but really, look, LSU shouldn't have been in this game, and it's fine. Their offensive talent. The second half, you got to give Alabama a lot of credit. Came out there defensively and shut them down, holding them to only 33 points. But it was a lackadaisical effort in the first half. Going into the locker room tied, you in the first half gave LSU how many fast break opportunities? Their fast break points were only 6 in the first half, but 22 points in the paint. And 10 of their, 14 second chance points came in the first half. Getting to the offensive glass, defense has been Coach Oates' major just point of emphasis all season long. If you can't defend, the possession doesn't end until you get the rebound. It was just really frustrating, I think, on Saturday night from an Alabama perspective to see the team kind of maybe not take LSU seriously and allow LSU to stay in the game the only way that they probably could have.
I think they definitely always play to their opponent. Always. This goes for football, basketball. It might go for every sport because we played to our opponents. So they knew LSU's not ranked. LSU,
Bottom in the conference.
Isn't going to bring much. I think people just were like, oh, it's just a game. It's just one of those, more cupcake of a game. And they just kind of let it go. But that was not the right move, clearly. But I think that's just kind of how it goes at Alabama is they just tend to play to their opponents. And it's something that I know the coaches have a hard time getting the players to, move past that, which, I understand. You have to have your off weeks, I guess. And it may as well be a team that's not as good, but that's how we get in trouble, how we lost to Ole Miss. I still don't understand how we lost.
Turning the basketball over. Just lazy that night.
Just
exactly.
Confused.
Well, you were maybe lazy on the offensive end as far as rebounding, and the defensive end as far as rebounding, but you did protect the basketball a whole lot better than you did against Ole Miss. So, okay, I don't want to spend a ton of time on the actual game because that's not where the story really lies at all. Alabama wins. You beat an inferior opponent. Yeah, Joe said that you were going to win. What was the score that I said, Jen? I think I said 107-87 on Friday, so it wasn't that. You didn't get your comfortable win, but you won. Okay, you're moving on in the SEC. The big story is what in the world is happening with Mark Sears. And so social media's gone crazy, Jenna. What did you, you're in and out of the game. You're watching the game. I know look, first off, let's start with this. What do we think of Mark Sears, period?
Best of the best. He's my favorite player probably ever in the history of Alabama basketball. Mark Sears, I was so excited he came back to play again. His mom is the cutest with her basketball. And I love that he's from Alabama originally. He's a native to Alabama. And he also, has the most points of anyone right now in the whole entire.
Yeah, 2,500 career points. One of 82 players in NCAA history ever to do that. And so exactly what you said, Jenna. Before this conversation starts, you have to recognize and you have to acknowledge Mark Sears is the cream of the crop of Alabama basketball. And I think that in the social media age, people are very, very quick to jump out on a take and jump out on a reaction. What happened on Saturday night? Mark Sears doesn't score a point. He's 0-5. He's 0 from 2 from beyond the line. He does get himself 3 rebounds and 3 assists. He has 2 of the team's 14 turnovers, so negative there. But Mark doesn't score. Okay, Mark doesn't score, but Mark doesn't play in the second half, and people start just spinning the narrative. Oh, my gosh, just spinning. Oh, is Mark washed? Oh, Coach and Mark had a headbutt in the locker room at halftime. Oh, Coach is sending a message to Mark Ingram. Mark Sears. Another great player in Alabama. No, coach sending a message to Mark Sears. Oh, they had a spat. Oh, this, that, and the other. Oh, LeBaron's better. Oh, Aiden's better. Well, coach comes out of the locker room after the game, and what did he say? I'll say this, quote, I'll say this, and I'm not going to talk anymore about playing time stuff. We went with the guys in the second half that I thought gave us the best chance to win this game. We won the game, and our defense was significantly better than the first half. And we haven't done that very often this year. So that's all I'm going to say about that stuff. Whew.
I do love his press conference.
Go for it.
I think he's, Nick Saban press conferences are my favorite of all time. Like, we would record it just so I could watch it later if I didn't get to see it. But Nate Oates has some great press conferences as well. Like, he will tell you what he thinks. He doesn't care. He's not sugarcoating anything. But at the same time, I really hate that we live in this age where social media just runs rampant, because I hope that Mark Sears has just cut off his social media, which I think Jalen Milroe kind of could share some advice and tips with that, because I noticed one time this season that he changed his whole handle name.
Jalen Milroe?
Yeah.
So that people couldn't find him.
Right. Or just kind of to get some off,
Get a little bit break from it.
I just think that it plays so much on these players, weighs on them, like what people are saying. And number one, most of the time, the people who are talking don't know what they're talking about.
That's the truth.
And number two, if they do, they're not playing. So, unless you're out there playing, why are you having such a strong opinion? Why do you think your opinion needs to be out there? And why are you just, downing someone? Because that's going to affect them. That's going to affect it could affect their gameplay. That's one of my things that just really bothers me about the fan base. Because I'm
I think the fan base is very reactionary. Is extremely reactionary. So he has a bad first half. He misses 5 shots. He misses the two 3-pointers, and you've got people. Oh, has he lost a touch? Well, look at the numbers. He's still leading, one of the leading scorers in the SEC, and he's playing at a more efficient rate than he was last year. What this is about, first off, I don't think this is a big deal. I think on Tuesday night over in Starkville, when Alabama takes the floor, Mark Sears is going to be starting, and I think he's going to be playing his 28, 32 minutes a game, whatever he's been averaging this season. We'll find that out in just a second. But I think he's going to probably play his average. What I think this was exactly what look. We start the show by saying LSU takes us by surprise. Oh, they got after you on the offensive glass. Well, their length was a massive problem. Just think about it from an X's and O's standpoint. The emotions aside, we love Mark Sears, a great player, very quality player. The emotions aside, do you have an undersized guard who's getting beat off the dribble and really cannot get around? Look, the reason, this is a whole speculation and opinion, Jenna, but the reason I think that he didn't play in the second half is because he couldn't fight over the screens in the first half, and he's a defensive liability due to size and length. I don't think this is an issue at all, other than the fact that Coach Oates wanted to maybe send a message to a senior leader that, hey, we got to defend every single second, and I need not 98%, but 101%. But I also think it's hey, we just had to win the game. We just had to make a little move to win the game.
I just think everybody has their off days, or, you're matched up against a certain team that maybe has prepared for a certain aspect of the game, and I think they prepared to defend him.
I think that's a great point. Continue. I think that's a great point.
And so I think he had to, switch the plays up, just throw them for a loop. And sometimes you have to do that. And I think kind of, obviously I relate things to football because I watch it a little more than basketball. I do love basketball, but, kind of when Tua and Jalen, you just sometimes have to switch it up to get at the other team.
You think Coach Saban was mad at Jalen? No, I think he's just making a move to win the game.
You can't always. I mean, you just have to coach. You have to be the coach.
All right, so let's talk about the adjustment. You benchmark Sears, and instead you end up playing Aiden Holloway 15 minutes in the second half. He played 30 minutes in the game. Finds himself 19 points. He's 3 of 8 from behind the arc, so he's really your only deadly 3-point shooter on the night. And just aggressive, 6 for 6 from the free throw line. We're getting to the free throw line. We're getting to the rim. Yeah, you have your 2 turnovers, but people walked away from the game, Jenna, thinking, oh my gosh, all the drama because they live on the internet. But the takeaway shouldn't be the drama. The takeaway should be just how deep the team is, that you can sit down, Mark, for a night. You're not having a good night. Okay, maybe the coach wasn't happy. Whatever. We don't know all the details, but we can still throw another player out there and, he's going to have a really good performance and Alabama's going to be just fine.
I mean, it's honestly kind of, like makes you feel better about your team, because what if, God forbid, there was an injury? You don't want to be, obviously rely on Mark a lot every game, but if you can't have a backup there, you're done.
All right, so Alabama wins, and that's really the main takeaway. The other, I guess we got to keep going with the Mark because the other aspect of this that's gone crazy is Mark's mother. Now I got to be careful because with the entire framework, Jenna, that I love Mark Sears, and I think that he is a very quality player, and I think that he is an extremely good ambassador for the university, extremely good face for the university. And I think that Mark Sears' mother's story last year was a cute, wonderful, great March Madness story. She's in the stands doing her free throw routine. She's been supporting Mark her whole life. A-plus mother. Absolutely. A-plus mother. You're seeing over the last 12 to 15 hours collections of Mark Sears' mother's comments online, and I don't even think they're that upset, really. We need to go back to them just so I'm not exaggerating here. I think that she's just maybe reacting to, because look, everybody saw Mark upset. Everybody saw Mark on the sidelines upset with right there with not being in the game. Here we go. And she's out there. Her comment on Facebook: "We're human, but we don't wage wars humans do." Perfect, right out of the Bible. She's talking about, this is not really between Mark and Nate. In the face of a humiliating environment, I'm grateful for the happy moments we've captured and thankful to serve a living God who fights all of our battles. Enough is enough. May Mark's character and hard work shine through, proving his worth. To the enemy, you can't box with God. Let's keep the faith and rise above. Now, I think people, Jenna,
I don't see anything wrong with what she said.
Right. These are 2 paragraphs that I think people ran with as, oh my gosh, look how upset they are. Look, what they're clinging to. Enough is enough. May Mark's character and hard work shine through. I don't think this enough is enough is about any of the hard feelings, proverbial hard feelings. I think it's about the drama.
Everyone just talking about it.
Yes.
I was telling you I was about to start watching a reality TV show. The Bachelor's coming back on tomorrow night. And, people just feed on drama. I just want to tell them, if you want drama, go watch The Bachelor.
That's why I watch wrestling.
Basketball.
That's why I watch wrestling, because I know it's fake. Right. All right. She goes and continues commenting. Mark wasn't sick. He wasn't off. His shots just didn't fall. Yes, he will bounce back. And she's just taking up for her son on these comments. Now, some of our media, counterparts, the Next Round Live, goes out and clips them and makes it a big social media post. Look, I know some of the people at the Next Round Live, and I would say that I have good relationships with them, certainly. But I didn't like it. And that's fine. I'm sure I do many things that they don't like either. But I didn't like them collecting Mark's mother's comments and maybe painting her as, oh, trouble in paradise. He's talking, oh, my friend, it's times like this is another one of her comments, Mark Sears' mother. It's times like these that we must hold near to God's promises and the word. It's okay to be upset. Yes, it is. It's okay to have damaged emotions. Yes, it is. Given your back to God for His washing. Uh, my hope and trust in God and the love for my family will get us through these challenging times as we and our son witness pure neglect. Not sure that he was neglected, but I'm not sure that she's wrong at all by feeling that. She's a mother. She's a mother. That's her son. She's going to be fierce. She's Mama Bear. All this is people overreacting to a moment, a coaching moment that I think in a couple of months when the season's over, no one's gonna remember.
Right. It happens. It is what it is. People get benched all the time for a game. The game. That's it. That doesn't mean the whole season's changed. It's one game, one moment in time. Move forward. Let it go.
Now we do have to acknowledge the second half defense was much better. Mason and I, we love our points per possession. In the first half, LSU 1.176. That's really, really, really bad, Alabama. Really bad. You give them 1.176. In the second half, without Mark Sears playing, now, not people are going to make a big deal out of it. Out of matchups, choices, Alabama holds LSU to 0.846, which is a much, much better number. And honestly, to me, it's encouraging. We've been sitting here, Mason and I, Jenna, have been sitting here all fall long, really complaining about, oh, Alabama is serving up a good first half punch and not coming out in the second half ready to go, just easing off. And, most of the time, the first half punch being good enough to coast. I think this is look, people are going to make it all about the Mark Sears situation. But I think this is a sign of, a little maturity is infusing into this team of, okay, maybe we did have a little moment. Maybe our leader and coach, I don't know that there was a spat, but something's not right. But we as a team put it all behind us, locked in for a half, and played good defense and won the game.
I think too, they're playing so many games. Sometimes people just need a break. You just need someone fresh in there just to, you've been sitting on the bench all year. You're ready. You're ready to go. Sometimes people just need, that's why there's more people on the team. Sometimes you need to give other people a chance to fill in for the day.
I'm excited about this next week. I think Alabama's going to continue to play well. You got at Mississippi State and then the Georgia Bulldogs on Saturday. So a chance to go 2-0. I mean, App State's not going to be easy. All the road games are going to be really, really challenging. We will get into the Tuesday game on Tuesday when Mason returns. I will be going to Monday Night Raw on Monday in Atlanta. If you're going to be there, let us know at Joe Gay through 6. We're not live right now, but you can always comment on the show at Joe Gay through 6 on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, or right there on the Bama Central YouTube channel. We encourage everybody to subscribe to the show, the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and on Amazon. So let's keep it going. I want to tie some of these conversations, these basketball conversations, into football in just a second. Let's look at the SEC standings. Let's look at what happened on Saturday after we tell you about my friend Derek Daniel and State Farm. We're here in the Derek Daniel State Farm Studios. You can call Derek and his team at 205-758-3391 for all of your insurance needs. Red, Reese, and Victoria, they'll be happy to take your phone call, talk about home, life, auto insurance. You need renter's insurance, boater's insurance, trailer insurance, everything in the insurance world. State Farm can take care of you right here off of McFarland Boulevard. Call Derek and his team at 205-758-3391. Call and see how much Derek can save you today. All right, Jenna, we're live in the Derek Daniel State Farm Studios, and you can follow Jenna Clary at the 10 out of 10 pod on YouTube and Instagram for all of her travel and sports takes. Where's the next place you're going? Where's the next place you want to go if it's not planned yet?
I hope to be going this weekend to the Reese's Senior Bowl.
Ooh!
In Mobile.
Okay. The draft starts in Mobile, they say.
Oh, yeah. It's important. So, Alabama has a lot of players in it.
Will you let us know how Jalen Milroe will do?
100%.
people are talking about Pittsburgh Steelers, Jalen Milroe, maybe
I
falling
can
in
see
love.
it. I can see it.
I can too. Be
I
watching
think
out
he's going to do great. I think he's going to do really great.
for Jenna Clary down at the Senior Bowl, and follow the 10 out of 10 pod on YouTube and Instagram.
Yes.
On Saturday, we also, Tennessee, you blew it. You went into Auburn. You were up by like what 1-2 points late in the game, and you couldn't find another bucket. And that SEC officiating drove me crazy on Saturday night because that game was like a wrestling match. I had just watched professional wrestling, which I know is staged, but those Janai Broom should have fouled out. I mean, they were just throwing each other around. Makes me really interested to see to think about what the matchup with Alabama, those two physical teams, Alabama can get out and run, get them into foul trouble. I don't know. I'm not as nervous about an Alabama Tennessee matchup as I was maybe 3 weeks ago. Now that Auburn matchup, very very nervous. Georgia loses big to Florida. I thought that was going to be a little bit closer, but Florida absolutely waxed them 89-59. Vanderbilt, another huge win. They beat Kentucky at home 69-74. So look, maybe that Vanderbilt win, last Tuesday? Going to be more valuable than we thought after the show on Tuesday after they beat Kentucky. Now, huge win for Texas despite his name's what? Rodney Terry? Is that the coach's name? Rodney. The Texas basketball coach drives me crazy because he is one of the biggest crybabies about horns down in the world. And he's out there rah rah rah, and after they beat Texas A&M, which you should, it's a rivalry game, but just accept the other backlash too.
Mm-hmm.
Like when people give you horns down, just say, "Yeah, buddy."
What it is. Like let it
exactly.
Yeah.
Like I kind of found the Alabama fans like really took the horns down too much, like maybe oversaturated it. But I think the Texas fans got way too butthurt about it too.
Oh yeah, I mean that's what it's there for. The rivalry. That's what we're gonna do.
That's what fandom is for, and it's fun. So Texas, relax.
Like though to be in the SEC yet, they're still
They're
getting
learning
their bearings.
Mississippi State won in overtime over South Carolina. South Carolina really, really tough luck in the SEC. 0-7 so far. Ole Miss went on the road and lost to Missouri. So I think that's 4. Is that 4 in a row for Ole Miss, or is that 3 losses in a row? That is for the Ole Miss Rebels. 3 in a row. I thought it was 4, but it's 3 in a row after defeating Alabama here on the road. So that really good win for Ole Miss. Now they're clinging to it. That's going to be big for their resume. And lastly on the night, Coach Cal really, really still struggling as Oklahoma went into Arkansas, beating the Razorbacks 65-62. So what's that do to our standings? Alabama, not that button. Alabama is what, a half game behind Auburn, right? Because Auburn had the midweek bye. Should be. Yeah. Alabama, half game behind the Auburn Tigers, second place. And so right there, solo second place, you've got Missouri and Florida nipping at your heels, tied for third at 5-2, 1.5 games behind the Auburn Tigers. Who's Auburn play this week? Who do those jokers have? Do they have anybody that can beat them? Because Alabama's got 2 games that they can win. Okay, Auburn is going at LSU and at Ole Miss. Oh, Ole Miss. Hotty toddy, gosh almighty, who the hell are you? Go out there and end this losing streak by beating the Auburn Tigers.
I don't think they can do it.
No, they can't. They got their one win over here in Coleman Coliseum. They got their big win right there. Jenna, you talked to me. Oh, I'm a much bigger football fan. That's great. I want to dive into that by connecting the Mark Sears conversation, utilizing my friend, Tony Sikalis. Tony, I love you. You can follow Tony _Sikalis, right, on the Twitter machine? Yeah, Tony _Sikalis on the Twitter machine. He is a good friend of mine, and he will not mind this one bit, but I think he was a little bit off his rocker on Saturday night. We'll just say that, and it's okay, because look, follow Tony, read Tide Illustrated, just like you read us here at Bama Central. Tony Sikalis, after the game, comes out with this headline. You can read it for yourself right there at Tide Illustrated. Tony's takes. DeBoer should learn from Oates' willingness to bench star players. And the quick 1-minute synopsis, Jenna Clary, is Nate Oates benching Mark Sears should have sent a message. Oh, look, Kalen DeBoer was in the audience. He's been coming to some basketball games lately. We love seeing him right there. and he says that he should take the he benchmarked Sears and maybe put it into the retrospect lens. I should have benched Jalen Milroe, or I should be more willing in the future to bench my star players. Do we think that Kalen DeBoer should have had his notepad out on Saturday night?
I think Kalen has done great. I have nothing bad to say about Kalen. I think he took the role and ran with it and did the best he could given everything he had. I'll say that. Big Kalen fan and Jalen fan, but
I am as well. We've largely been a Jalen Milroe fan on this show. Obviously, some of the late season performances didn't make us happy, but on the whole, happy with Jalen Milroe. Tony writes, it's unclear what the tipping point was for Oates regarding Sears on Saturday. The guard went scoreless in the first half. The numbers are rough, but it would be out of character to bench his star solely on a cold start to the game. Perhaps Sears said something Oates didn't like at halftime. He continued, maybe the guard didn't speak up when he should have. Whatever it was, Oates didn't like it and decided to take a stand. He continues, it takes some guts. Sears isn't just any player, he's the team's heartbeat. The muscle shows Alabama native carried the Tide to his first Final Four last season. Now, look, Tony's right in a lot of these paragraphs. He's absolutely correct. But I think that Tony maybe fails to, in this instance, Tony's often very, very good at taking into consideration all the facts of play. But just the sheer difference between football and basketball, benching the quarterback and what that might do versus, I'm going to bench one of my guards. Yes, he is the heartbeat of the team, but I also have these two dogs in Aiden Holloway and LeBaron Philon who can just fill right in and are hungry to play and are was there, Jenna? No disrespect to you, Ty Simpson, Austin Mack, Dylan Lonergan. Were there dogs on the sideline waiting to fill in for Jalen Milroe?
I don't think they were ready. But
yeah, I'm just not quite sure that it's an apples to apples comparison. And I do love Tony, but I think that you have the luxury of benching Mark Sears and sending a message, sending whatever message you're trying to send in basketball. Let's just play it out to where Alabama doesn't win the game on Saturday. You still benched Mark Sears, but Alabama doesn't win. Does it really matter? No. You're still going to have a high seed in the NCAA tournament. You're still going to have probably a high seed in the SEC tournament. And does it hurt you going for the SEC regular season championship? Sure, it does. But in the grand scheme of things, what's losing one regular season basketball game? It's way, way, way less skin in the stake of a season than losing one college football game. It's only 12. It's just not. Right. Go ahead. I just don't think it's a good comparison.
Yeah, I think kind of with football, you're starting out, who you pick at day one is kind of who you go with. So, there was the one season where Nick Saban had, two different ones. He was kind of alternating different games. And then once he figured out it's going to be Jalen, went with Jalen. It's kind of like once you make your decision, you make your decision. I mean, you can, bench somebody one game or whatever, but it's all centered around that one person. Like, it just is.
I think you're exactly right. In basketball, it's more, you do have a system in football, but in basketball, it's more, this is the NATO system and everybody knows it. In football, you change your system, depends on who you're playing. And of course, people can complain about it wasn't changed enough for Jalen, or, he should have fit more into their, whatever. I just think it's a lot. The knee-jerk reaction from Saturday night of, well, Nate Oates had big enough balls to bench Mark Sears. I wish Kalen DeBoer had any sort of intestinal fortitude. No, I think he has plenty of intestinal fortitude.
Agreed. I think, if he had benched him and then we lost, they would have definitely had a different take about it. It's just our fan base is so spoiled. And we're just going to, I don't really get in this little train, but people will just complain about everything. You can't really do right at Alabama. You do good and you do better. It's never like perfect. So
Well, we talked about this earlier. That's what frustrated me about this season. 9-4. Okay, everybody wanted a national championship. Of course, why? No, of course you would. But it was a good year. Like, look around college football, Jenna. How many teams would love to have gone 9-4?
right, and then to have a new coach, total new staff. I mean, new everyone almost. I mean, defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator, coach. Most every year we're rebuilding our team because everyone goes to the NFL. So it's totally different than then we have the transfer portal. Let me not get started on that, but all that to say, we.
What do you think about the portal? Because if you heard me on, what was it, Friday, I think it was. I went nuts on the portal.
Honestly, I hate it. It makes me want to throw up. I think it. Oh wow.
We'll talk about that in just a second.
We just got the score of the game. I hate it. I hate the portal. I think they need to fix it a little bit more. There needs to be some more boundaries.
If Jenna were the commissioner of college football, what would you do to the portal?
Listen to me.
Yeah, how would you fix the portal? Because we've got ideas on the Joe Gaither Show, but we're welcome to listening to many more.
Personally, I think you only get 2 schools. You don't get to every year go into the portal. You get to go one time. And that's in case, you shouldn't go just for more money, which I'm sure that's what lots of people do. But I think, obviously if you're benched, that makes sense. Go see if you can find a school that can use you. Other than that, I mean, wait. It's just people have gotten so uncommittal.
Non-committal, yeah.
Non-committal. And it's just really changed the game to where, I feel bad for these players. It's are you getting the same college experience as most people are getting? I know I stayed at Alabama for 4 years. I wasn't an athlete, but
you stayed at 4. I stayed there for 10.
I stayed there for actually.
It might have taken me 12 to get through school.
I had 5 football seasons, so I had an extra semester.
No, I went to Shelton for a couple years. I'm just teasing, but I did get through.
But it's not normal. It's taking the fun out of it. Because you really do bond with the people you're on team with. If you're there for 4 years, those are your brothers for life.
Sure.
And these people are just robbing themselves of that opportunity because of the dollar amount. And they go to another school and sometimes they're not happy. Take Tyler Booker, he went, and I actually met him this year and kind of joked with him about that.
No, Tyler stayed. Tyler's here.
He went to Ohio State.
Seth McLaughlin.
No, I'm talking about when he flipped. He went and then came back. Am I
I think you're missing that one.
Are you sure?
Tyler never left.
I want to look it up.
Look it up for sure.
I'm pretty sure.
Tyler was through and through. Tyler was through and through.
I'm pretty sure he went and came back.
No, I know. Caden Proctor.
Caden Proctor
went to Iowa and came back. You're exactly right on that. That's where you're at. The tackle plays next to Tyler Booker.
Okay.
Caden Proctor transferred to Iowa for the spring semester and then transferred back to Alabama to return. Yeah, that's in 2020. Offensive tackle, 2022 offensive tackle target. Well, he's been here. It's 2024. Yeah,
I know, but I think there was some back and forth somewhere. I don't know where.
All right. Well, as a fresh, maybe it was. Look at this. Jenna is finding. You're exactly. This is Tyler Booker.
Some back and forth had happened.
This is our Tyler Booker from IMG.
June
2021. You're exactly right. Buckeyes are one of 5 finals.
There and came back. Someone flipped.
Sure.
They went there and came back because they went to practice there and
sure.
They came back. And it was it was obviously money involved.
Oh gosh, yes.
But they ultimately decided they liked it here better. Thank goodness. But it just gets crazy. It just gets out of control. They definitely need to fix it. And I think they are working on that, obviously. But I would love to see some major changes next year.
Yeah. One-time transfer, I think that's probably a decent way. There are several different ways. Let's close down the show with this. As it is Sunday evening, we have some Super Bowl participants. The Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs are going to face it off against one another in the Super Bowl again. Jalen Hurts gets his shot at redemption. Jalen Hurts, when was the last, was that 2 years ago that he was in the Super Bowl? Came up a little bit short with the Eagles. Was that 2 years ago or was that 3? 2021? Nope, 2022. Right there. Yeah, it's 2021 or 2022 season. He makes it all the way, loses to the Kansas City Chiefs. He in the game in the Super Bowl, 300 yards and a touchdown, rushed for 70 yards and scored 3 rushing touchdowns, the most rushing touchdowns by a quarterback in Super Bowl history. So Jalen Hurts gets his shot at redemption, and with 2 weeks to go, I know everybody's going to be anti-Chiefs anyways, but with that Eagles running game, Saquon Barkley, and all the Alabama players on the Philadelphia Eagles, are there any Alabama players, Jenna, on the Chiefs? I'm not asking to quiz you. I'm asking because I don't know. I'm going to find out.
I'm pretty sure the answer is no.
I'm pretty sure that's right. Let's find out.
I'm absolutely almost positive, like 99.9.
Because
there's no one on the Chiefs. There was like 2 teams that there weren't any Alabama players. I think it was the Chiefs and the Bears.
I think you're exactly right. Control F Chiefs because, yeah, Kansas City Chiefs, none from Our Lady Christy Patrick at Bama Central, who keeps up with our NFL database. So boo on you, Kansas City. I know you're going for a three-peat, and I guess you're the villains now. What is it? Either live long enough to be the hero. You defeated the Patriots dynasty, but now you are the villain. You've lived long enough to become the villain, and everyone hates you now, unfortunately. Everybody's upset. Are you a Swiftie? It's fine if you are. Are you we want to see Taylor Swift on the camera?
I am a Swiftie, but I am a big Eagles fan, big Jalen Hurts fan. Love Eagles. I really hope they win.
I hope they win as well. I think that's another thing that everybody makes such a big deal of. They showed Taylor Swift for about 3.5 seconds.
Yeah, it's gotten way less. Like the first game, it was like the whole game, and it was a little ridiculous. But of course, I mean, it was the first time she was there. It was a big deal.
We're not skipping any plays to like watch Taylor Swift in the box. Like we're still watching the game. They're just like they'd be cutting away.
And let's be real, everyone wants to see it.
Yeah,
just about. I mean, the people that don't want to see it, what are you going to see? A random fan?
Exactly. They're going to show a random fan anyway. So you may as well show somebody.
Might as well show Taylor Swift
that they want to see, that
and whoever's sitting by her and what they're talking about and like the outfits they're wearing.
Jason Kelsey, all blah, blah, blah.
It gives the girlies somewhere to.
Hey, if there's any way to hook more ladies into the sports world, we are all about that. Have I left anything off the table today? Let me go look at Bama Central. I know we're doing this a little bit off the rails today just because I'm going to be out of town on Monday. Mason's going to be out of town on Monday. Mason's returning from Philadelphia, New Jersey. He was seeing some family. I will be watching Monday Night Raw. We will have a show on Tuesday. Let me look through our 3 takeaways. That's how to watch Bama and Mississippi State.
Ooh,
what else you got? Give it to me.
We were going to talk about.
Give it to me.
There's a story now circulating that AJ McCarron thinks that Ryan Grubb should not replace Nick Sheridan. And this is the opinion of a few people. I don't know where we are on that. Like, is Ryan Grubb even in the talks with Alabama, or is that just because he, isn't going to be at the Seahawks anymore? Like, what's the deal? Where are we on that?
I don't know if there's any talks behind the scenes. Obviously, we know the ties from Ryan Grubb and Kalen DeBoer and the whole staff.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, he was originally going to be here.
Right, he turned Nick Saban down. Nick Saban tried to hire him before Tommy Rees, right? And he said no. He offered him like $2.5 million. He offered him a boatload of money, and he said no. Then Kalen DeBoer tries to bring him, and he stays for like a week and a half before he goes back.
To the Seahawks.
To the Seahawks, right. And now, obviously, that's a promotion. Sense. Exactly. Mm-hmm. It's a promotion, and you can stay in the same area. You can keep your wife happy. You can keep the family in the same spot. Well, perfect decision. I don't know that you bring him back, Jenna, because I don't know where you fit him in. Do you just, hey, Nick Sheridan, you're fired? No. I think I don't think you just fire Nick Sheridan. Oh, well, move you back to tight ends coach. Okay, well, Brian Ellis, you're fired, tight ends coach. Like, what are we going to do with the staff if you bring in Ryan Grubb? And if you bring in Ryan Grubb, how long do you have him? Do you have him
Right.
for a year and then he goes to another NFL team or to another college team? Goes back west somewhere. Or I understand. I think everyone's frustration with the offense this year.
I was one of those. I was
Oh,
frustrated. I mean, not about Jalen Milrow. I was fine with him. It was just in general. Like the plays just weren't really matching. I don't know. Something wasn't hitting. And so I was one that was like, maybe we should replace Nick Sheridan. No hate, but like if something's not working, it's not working. And if Jalen worked last year so well, why did he not work this year? What was different? Just process of elimination.
Clearly, well, I mean, yeah, they asked him to do different things this year. Probably away from his traditional skill set. I mean, no, they leaned into his running game, but I think that got figured out by the end of the year.
I don't really know what the answer is. I'm glad, that's someone else's decision, but I do.
So you'd fire Sheridan? It's fine if you would. We like all opinions. You go ahead and fire him?
I don't know that I would fire him.
Because that's like what we're trying. Like, it's so easy to say.
It's not that he did bad. Like, I just, I don't know.
Well, it's just so easy to say, let's hire Ryan Grubb. But, like, there's a flip side of that.
Mm-hmm.
If you hire him, somebody's got to get fired.
Right.
And I don't know that any of the offense
you
was
have
not good.
Co-defensive coordinators all the time. Like, could you have a co-offensive coordinator?
And make him, like, not an on-field coach? Yeah, you could. You could. You could make him not an on-field coach like you did with Jason Jones, the new defensive backs coach. And you could do that. And I think that would be a fun way to do that. I think that'd be, if you are going to do it, because I just think that the language and what you built with Nick Sheridan over a year, you don't throw it out quite yet.
Right.
Let's see it with, everybody crying for Ty Simpson. Let's see it for Ty Simpson. Let's just see what you do with with Keelan Russell.
I think Keelan Russell is the answer, but that's just my opinion. No hate to anyone else. It's just
Let's have a real conversation here. If you and Keelan Russell are standing on scales, how much? He's little. He needs some weight. We got to get some muscle on him.
You got to build him up.
I think he's going to be, oh my gosh, so good. I think he's going to be. I think everybody who watched the NFL playoffs this weekend and saw Jaden Daniels be just an absolute wizard.
That was really great.
Yeah, I think he's going to be very, very much like that. Just got to give it. I think he's like 170 pounds, which is like my weight, and I'm not a college athlete at all. I would get broken in half. I think that Keelan, it might be the future, but we got to give him some weight. But to wrap it and get back to you, I just have a hard time throwing away 12 months of work with Nick Sheridan.
Yeah, I see the point, and I just, I just hope that Ryan Grubb isn't gone somewhere else, and then we look back and are like, we should have took him. But hey, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
We'll make the right decision. I have faith in.
We'll find out what the offense looks like on A-Day. I think didn't we find out it was April 12th? That's right. Day's still April 12th. Didn't we do this last on Friday? It was 52, so it should be like 51. Day's still April 12th. That was spring practice. What was 50? Yeah, so 76 days. So 75 days now because it's Monday. It's not Sunday night. 75 days until A-Day, and we will see what the offense looks like. Jenna, before we leave here, and I appreciate your time, why don't you spend a couple of minutes telling everybody about the 10 out of 10 podcast? I know I maybe said a quip or two, but why don't you tell us what it's actually about and where they can find it?
Okay. Yeah, it's a sports and culture podcast. We originally made it for the ladies interested in football and such. We do a lot of travel for sports, and we talk about where to eat, what to see, and what to do in the cities that sports are played. Talk about some fashion things to wear to the game and stuff like that. And we get like real life stories from people who are from these cities who played in athletics. So it's just real,
All right, I have a fashion pet
competitive.
peeve.
Oh.
Do you want to get into it?
Sure.
Every game, oh my gosh, it drives me up the wall. This pet peeve falls under the same pet peeve when I watch football players that have their mouthpiece hanging out. Like, put your mouthpiece in and get ready to play. The Alabama fans who go to games wearing the Ole Miss blue polos with the Tide crimson, they get them from. They get the fancy Peter Millars, and obviously they're good looking polos. They're good looking polos for dates, for church. They're good looking polos for business meetings. They're good looking polos for golf. But don't wear, like, it's my biggest pet peeve. Do not wear that deadgum Ole Miss baby blue color into Bryant Day Stadium. If you're cheering, like, if
Is
you're
it
cheering,
mostly frat?
yes,
Okay.
yes. It is a very much
figured.
college age, fraternity age, and of course, that baby blue, it looks like North Carolina. It looks like Ole Miss blue, and it's got crimson script, Alabama or Roll Tide on the breast. And okay, so that makes us know that you are cheering for the Tide. But it's like anywhere else, bud. Take your wife or girlfriend out on a date, wear that shirt. Great. But wear crimson or white or gray or black or houndstooth, like something in the color wheel if you're going to cheer. It drives me nuts.
I think people are trying to be different, and then they start being all the same, being different. You know what I mean? Like, who was the first person to do that?
Whoever they were, in my opinion, they're a loser. Just unless you're going to cheer for Ole Miss or North Carolina or some blue squad, great. And if that's you, great. Roll
and
Tide.
If we're playing Ole Miss, it really would get confusing for sure.
Yeah, I think I really made waves in our Bama Central group chat. Was the South Carolina game? I really know it. The student section was covered in blue, and of course, South Carolina is not blue, but it's like neither are we. What are we doing, boys? No hate on the shirt. It's cool if you bought the shirt. I know it's probably $120, $150, whatever. But save it for the golf course and wear your gray, or your crimson, or your white.
I agree.
Yeah,
100%.
That's my one pet peeve. So if you're out of the game, if I'm out of the game, I won't have an interaction because I'm not that type. But just know I'm rolling my eyes hard at you if you're wearing a baby blue shirt. You ready to get out of here, Jenna? Let's shut it down. We are finishing for the day. We'll be back on Tuesday with Mason Woods, and we'll set you up with the Alabama and Mississippi State game. We'll dive into are you going to be one of the Gumps in the hump as Alabama goes over to Starkville to take on the Bulldogs? We've had a lot of fun in the Derek Daniels State Farm Studios. Follow Jenna Clary at the 10 out of 10 pod on YouTube and Instagram. You can follow me at Joe Gaither 6 on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. You can follow the show, The Joe Gaither Show, on Bama Central and BamaCentral.com, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon.
Thanks for joining us on today's edition of The Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central. Keep up with Joe on all his social media pages at Joe Gaither 6. Subscribe, rate, and review the show on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and be sure to read us daily at BamaCentral.com.